All right, welcome back, everyone. I am CCP Swift with CCP Lumi, continuing our CSM19 candidate interviews. We've got Frippy from Goonswarm, specifically from Karmafleet. Frippy, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm so excited. This is my favorite part of the CSM process. The election, too stressful. The lead up to it, too much work. But this is the Goldilocks zone right here.
Yeah, it's the fun times, getting to talk about it all and just, sort of get the questions answered and sort of get your name out there, really.
It's also just really nice to meet all of you.
Yeah, sort of put a face to a name kind of thing.
So, speaking of putting a face to the name, tell us who you are and what you do in Eve.
So, my name's Frippy. I'm a resident of Nullsec, I'm part of Karma Fleet, which is part of Goonswarm, and I pretty much just sort of hang around and delve and PvP and rat, essentially. That's my Eve life.
Right on. And in your campaign thread, you wrote that you're running as an individual candidate. How did this happen? Why are you here? What are you planning to achieve?
Well, I'm running as an individual candidate because I don't actually know the Goons ballot, and as I'm a new player, I started in March. I thought this is an interesting thing. I thought I'm probably not going to get on the actual official ballot, so I may as well run for myself. And so I want to run for CSM purely because I'm passionate about the game. I mean, I've been hooked on this game for 6 months now. I've been playing it pretty much every day for 6 months, and if I can be a part of something that can give structured feedback and improve the game, then I'm all for it.
March. I somehow missed this during when we were screening the applications. Trying to look at everyone. I was like, oh, okay, this is cool, cool, cool. But playing since March is you're probably one of the newer CSM candidates out there. I'm so happy to hear that you actually have learned about what the CSM is in that 6 months. There's so much Eve knowledge that you have to pick up through this whole process.
I mean,
I
I
know for a fact I didn't when I started.
I mean, I got into nullsec like 2 months in, so I've basically been in nullsec since like for the last 4 months. So I've basically picked up quite a lot of knowledge in quite a lot of time because obviously the people at Karma Fleet are very knowledgeable and they've basically showed me the ropes of how the game works and basically sort of sprung me forth. And that it was kind of their idea. I sort of brought the idea of running, and they thought, why not go ahead? So here I am.
That's actually super cool.
Yeah, so while you're on the CSM, again, you've talked about a little bit about what you do, hanging out in Delve. Spoiler alert, Crimson Harvest is going on right now. There are some cool additional sites there in Delve, as well as some other regions. So, after this, you'll probably go back to that. But, like, what topics you say that you kind of will be engaging with the most um, during the CSM, should you get elected?
If I were to get elected, the topics I would be mainly sort of pushing forth is the new player experience as a new player, um, sort of the introduction to the game and how maybe there could be some new things implemented to help sort of the onboarding to Eve be a little bit smoother, as there's a lot of information to basically pile on right at the start on actually just the basics of how to fly a ship in combat, be that PvP or PvE, as well as be a bit of rejuvenation within nullsec, maybe an ESS rework, and just all around just try and improve sort of the quality of life for new players and current players.
All right, new player quality of life, always something that's really important. Again, we were chatting with the candidates earlier, and we always like to see, whenever a new player enters the game, there's struggles. It's hard to figure out everything, but going into a player group early on is a recipe for success.
Yeah, I learned a lot. I had some IRL friends point me in the direction of Karma Fleet. So I had some sort of outside information of where to sort of go to sort of get good information. So I did have some help IRL, but you know, it's been a fun 6 months for sure.
Well, the IRL help is really important in Eve. That's why we like our corporations and alliances. when you get elected, or should you get elected, I should say, how do you plan to build a support base for your idea? Because you're obviously a newer player. How are you going to reach the rest of the player base?
Well, I'm thinking of starting streaming Eve. I mean, I was quite inspired by Frontline's podcast last night that I went on. So it would be if I were to get elected and sort of help spread ideas and voices and voice the voice of the community, it'd probably be via streaming as well as obviously I'm in quite a big alliance, so I'd be able to reach quite a lot of people through that.
Right on. Yeah, we have had in the past several streamers also do a good amount of work on the CSM. You mentioned the Federation Frontline Report. Can you tell us a little bit about like what that was like? How what did that entail?
Basically, it was just a pretty chilled, casual hour conversation of sort of my story within Eve and why I'm running, and sort of asking a couple of questions related to my forum post, and it was very relaxed and chilled. And obviously, in an hour, I can go in a lot more depth than the 10 minutes we have. So it was quite nice to sort of get my full ideas out there for people to listen to, and the VODs have been put up if people want to go and watch them.
Nice. That would be great. We always like to, showcase how you can learn more about a candidate um, through, different podcasts that they've been on. It's really nice to see, uh, a whole bunch of community ones out there. I know Kashala's doing a set, and there's definitely going to be more kooky ones out there. You've got a really fresh perspective on Eve, a really fresh perspective on the CSM. So I'd love to ask, like, what do you feel is the role of the CSM as you see it?
I mean, from the perspective I have, it's a sort of focus group for CCP in order to sort of hear how the state of the game is from the perspective of the players and provide structured information and feedback to you guys. Um, and sort of how I would be a part of that would be more giving it from the perspective of a new player who is a part of maybe a big block per se, but a more new player perspective and more sort of what's my eyes are still fresh upon the game, and so within the CSM I'd be giving that kind of feedback.
That would absolutely make sense. So we are already running out of time a little bit, so we've got time for like 2, maybe 3 more questions. One of our favorite ones today has been, for someone who has never heard of you, describe yourself or, your candidacy in 3 words.
I'd say considerate, bubbly, and open-minded would be the 3 words I'd describe myself with.
I'm really
Nice.
interested as to what these mean in Eve. I don't
In
think I would describe Eve players as bubbly.
I mean, I'm on my corporation's com chat every day, and I have a very sort of positive attitude towards my fellow corp mates, and also just towards the game. I'm always laughing and joking, and it's quite chilled out and relaxed. It's not too serious. That's what I meant by bubbly. And being the considerate part being, always trying to help out other people if I can and provide any information I can to new players that join, because have been new players that have joined that have asked me for some help. So
That's dope. One question that I've got before we have to wrap up. You talked a lot about players asking for help. You willing to teach them a little bit about your knowledge and stuff. If there is another CSM candidate, or rather, I should say, is there another CSM candidate that you see running that you're like, oh man, I really like what they have to say, or I really like their perspective on the game, and that you think you would work well together? You don't have to know them or anything, like just the initial vibe or any info that you got from them.
I mean, to be fair, uh, it'd probably have to be somebody like Zintage, because he's sort of one of the only other candidates I know that are running. Um, yeah, I like. To be fair, I've been reading a lot of the forum posts, and a lot of what the candidates have to say has actually been pretty good stuff. But I'd say the only one that know off the top of my head would be Zintage.
Cool, and we'll be hearing from Zintage later on tonight at around 2100. So we'll make sure to ask about you and see if he also picks you. If he doesn't, then this could be the start of a blood feud or a very beautiful story in some other way.
Oh, that'd be a bit awkward though, wouldn't
No,
it?
no blood feud starting on the CSM. It's going to be amazing. I am sure about it. So before we have to head off, is there any last thing that you'd like to say or any final thoughts?
I just want to say good luck to everyone, and thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for me. It's been an absolute delight chatting with you. Can't wait to see more of your campaign. And I haven't checked out Frozen Fallout's podcast, the Federation Frontline Report that came out yesterday. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that later today. And can't wait to hear more about you.
Okie dokie. Thank you very much, guys. Have a good day.
All
You
right, you as
too.
well.